shoot. We're rolling.
We're rolling.
Are we rolling?
That was hilarious.
That was amazing. I started counting the table.
Yeah.
Jam.
Did you see the countdown appear on the screen? It was like down to 2, and right then, like that's when it.
And we're live.
Yeah.
Are we live?
Yeah. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Dude, thing sucks.
There was a t-shirt site, like a viral video t-shirt site called Shirts Taste Good back in probably 2015 or so. And it just had a kind of artfully designed t-shirt for every single video at the time that was viral. And I forgot most of them, but that one was amazing. I'm still regretting that I didn't buy it.
We'll do it live.
Huh?
We'll do it live.
Yeah. Gosh, what's that guy's name? I can't remember. Fox.
Yeah, he was.
What's his name? Oh, I would have remembered it like a minute ago.
Yeah.
Bill
O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. Yeah. Anyways, we're doing it live. Welcome, Jam Sesh.
Yeah. If you're watching,
last time I said this is not the greatest podcast, but I feel like it could be now.
We might have got there.
We've covered some ground.
Yeah. We went some places last time, man. We covered like somebody was just like one of the three on my side that listened was like, how many different subjects could I'm like, well, there is none. Like, and then another friend chimed in like, well, what's it about? And I was like, what do you want it to be about, man? Like that.
Yeah. It's a show about nothing.
Yeah.
It's about nothing.
We'll take it wherever it goes. That's what it's about. So
it just has to be good. Could be however long, could be about whatever.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding. My sister, Christy, watched. Christy, if you are listening on Spotify or watching this one, thank you. I think we owe her a white shirt.
Yep.
Sounds like your wife, we owe a white shirt also.
Yeah. Jamie wants a white shirt. My buddy Kurt wants a white shirt. So,
wow.
And then somebody else, I don't know. So I'm assuming you know, but maybe it was just some random. But they wanted sleeveless. They went with the sleeveless route.
Wow. Was this on Spotify or on YouTube? How'd they hit you up? Instagram?
YouTube or Instagram? I can't remember which. They commented somewhere like, "I'll take the sleeveless option," which I thought was bold. So
that is bold. Maybe that's what we wear next time.
Yeah, dude.
Are you sipping tonight?
Always.
I got something. I got a little something interesting. I'm gonna let you guess.
I
don't know how well that's coming through.
Right?
No, dude, look harder.
Limeade? Whoa!
Aloe water. Have you never had this stuff?
I haven't.
Oh, it's most choice. To quote Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I highly recommend it if you have the means.
I don't know that I do. It seems very.
It's fancy. This is like the nectar of kings right here. It's so good.
Is that a Colorado thing or is that like a SoCal thing?
It's Mexico, dude. It's
okay.
And other Central America. Like I've seen this stuff like in Panama when I lived in Panama. I was in Nicaragua with a couple of friends in September for a little surf trip. One of my friends has a house actually down there on the beach. Sweet. And we were surfing a little bit and hanging a lot, and it was super hot. And I found a couple of stores that we went to had these aloe. It's got like bits of aloe in it, but it kind of tastes like grape juice.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say like
lighting right on there, but you can kind of see how it's like boba tea almost.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could see the like the stuff in it. So that's why I thought limeade. I figured like it looked like it had some pulp,
some high pulp limeade right there.
Yeah, dude. Hey, far be it from me to judge a limeade for its pulpiness. I'll take it all.
Yeah. Limeade,
dude. Your limeade, your aloe drink pulled focus off your face. You got to tap your.
There we go. Am I better now?
Yep.
Maybe we should just have it be on the limeade the entire time.
that's. I mean, again, give the people what they want. That's.
Give the people what they want.
They're tuning in to see that aloe limeade. I wasn't expecting that. I won't lie. So that's the first pleasant surprise of the night.
Dude, I was trying to think of something that would surprise you. I was actually looking at some V8. I'm like, dude, Doug probably hasn't done tomato in like a decade. And I actually do love it, but I haven't done it in a long time either. Because I'm not a big soda guy, but if you got to get a good sipper, like when I'm on the plane and they ask what I want, I'm like, give me some V8, please.
Yeah, tomato? Or do you do like because they had the juices that they put out that were like super fruity and sugary and
Yeah.
There was like
No.
carrots in it or something, so everybody was like, "Well, it's still vegetable juice," but it was like
52 grams of sugar.
Yeah, like how
More than a
bland of a
soda.
like, little carrot in there, undetectable, but it's there. So
No, I like the tomato, man. Sometimes you can get like a Bloody Mary mix that's pretty good, a little spice in there, some clamato.
dude, I haven't drank. I don't think I've drank straight up tomato juice in a long time. Like my dad had me try it as a kid once. I hated it with like the fire of 1,000 suns.
Yeah.
I could probably get down with it now. Because I grew out of my disdain for tomatoes generally. Like as a kid, I like was terrified of tomatoes. Like now I'm down with tomatoes. So man, maybe I got to give the juice another swing.
It's a salty one, but it's kind of interesting. You know, it's something different, and I like it. I think it's good. I just haven't had it in forever because I don't think about it. But
yeah,
what are you sipping, man? What are you working on?
I mean, it should be clear as day. Coke Zero always.
If it's you and a beverage in your hand, it's going to be Coke Zero.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10. And well, actually, I'll get into that on my little part of the shindig. But one of my resolutions is to cut back. I'm not promising cold turkey, but I am gonna tone down my volume.
This is a sneak peek of one of your jams.
Yeah, and I'll get into some of the details in when we get into it. But one of my things is going to be a little less on the soda. So,
dude, why not? Like, why don't you start us off? Maybe that's a good place to jump in.
So,
and you got to tell me what brought that on too.
Yeah,
because last time, like 3 weeks ago when we did this, you were like, "Yeah."
Well, we talked about soda. I've gone through phases where like I'll try and get off for a while, and like I can jump to like sparkling water. I'm not like huge on the. Like I like a bubbly or whatever, a LaCroix or whatever every once in a while. Like if it's there, I'll absolutely have it and I'll enjoy it. But
yeah,
it's not like a pleasure for me to drink in the same way that like a nice cold Coke Zero would be. But I do still love the bubbles. So like if the bubbles are there, like I'm in a pretty good spot. But my New Year's resolution, like I go through like sort of a crisis on this every single year because like I don't know. I mean, you do the New Year's resolution thing long enough, and you're like, yeah, 9 times at least for me. Most of the time, they fall by the wayside by like January 10th, whatever it is, you know. But I also do love the just sort of the optimistic flow of a new year. So I'm leaning in.
Respect.
I'm leaning into like just I'm breathing in the positivity of the new year and I'm going for it and we'll see how it goes. But my New Year's resolution, my kind of main one is what I have labeled decluttering of mind, body, and soul.
Wow. Yeah.
And the body part of that is probably the easiest to like sort of what would I say, quantify. I'm working on adjusting my intake, my general relationship with food, because right now my relationship with food is I eat my feelings, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Like if I'm sad, I'm gonna eat something. If I'm happy, we got to celebrate by eating something. Like I'm hungry all the time.
Yeah.
So you ever see the movie Big Fish?
That's on my list of 90 Day PhD movies that I'm supposed to watch, but I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, that's a good one for that.
What'd you say?
That's a good pick for that 90 Day PhD.
Yeah,
because it's a lot of like
I watched the preview like a couple weeks ago, and it's like you can't like the kids. It's probably not reality, but he's like,
yeah,
I don't know,
like
if you know.
It's about just living and loving and getting a great story, and I think that's great. I think it's a great pick. But
maybe that'll be tonight after we hang up.
A minor, like it's not even a spoiler, but like he meets a giant at one point, and the guy's just like, I'm hungry all the time. Like so yeah, that's kind of how I feel a lot. But so I'm
good honesty, dude.
One of the things like I'm still working out the sort of hard and fast rules on stuff, but one of my explicit rules, like I'm not going to do fast food for this entire year. In 2025, I will not darken the door of a drive-through or anything, which is hard purely based on like the spots that are near my work. So I'm going to try to bring my lunch a lot more, and I'm going to try and, so I'm not zero fast food in 25 for me.
Dang. Is Chick-fil-A fast food?
I see. I'm torn on that one. I love me a little Chick-fil-A, dude. I won't lie about it. But yeah,
what do
I'm
you
gonna
think?
try
You count that as fast food, probably, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. So
you like how I'm like a 43-year-old man, like looking for a little wiggle room in there. I'm like, but Chick-fil-A?
Dude, trust me, like the soul wrestling I've done over that and Culver's. I love Culver's.
Culver's.
But then I also do I hate McDonald's, dude. Seriously.
Yeah.
I do love an
That's
egg
an easy
muffin,
one.
but I hate McDonald's. But I still eat there at least monthly because it's there and it's easy and it's super cheap. Well, nothing's super cheap anymore, but like as far as fast food places go, like I can still get 3 sandwiches for like $5.
I remember
why do I
the
need
one
3
time
sandwiches?
that you buzzed me,
You know
on
what I'm
your way
saying?
back
So
from work.
yeah,
you were saying like I just ate the worst Wendy's like lunch I've ever had in my entire
dude.
life, and I'm regretting all my life decisions to this point.
I was so sick, and seriously,
you said it so matter of factly too. You're like just driving.
Yeah,
like,
I'm driving, like just lamenting the feeling of my existence. Yes, but like that's how I feel every time I eat fast food.
Yeah.
So why did I not stop years ago when this is how I started feeling? Because it's like it's chemically produced to taste delicious and bring you back, even though like the second you take the last bite, you're like, oh,
yeah,
mistakes have been made.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. I drink way too much soda. Like I drink far more soda, far much. How would I say this? I drink far more soda than I do water.
Yeah.
Like I drink a few glasses of water a day, and I drink like minimum 3 cans of whatever a day. So,
Dang.
So I'm looking to switch that at the very least. I figure the more water I drink, the less thirsty I'll be, which means the less soda I'll drink. So I'm aiming for 4 liters of water, and hopefully that will cut down pretty severe. Like I'll still want to drink a soda at dinner time. Like I'll want to, but so that's part of it.
I like that you just said that. I'm jumping in, I know, but I like how you said that. I like how you said like the positive version of that instead of like you didn't tell it like it was like you didn't set an ungoal. Like I'm not going to drink any more soda. Hopefully it will be displaced because you are going to drink 4 liters of water. I like it.
Yes.
I think that's actually like a more winnable like fight in my head. And like it's like, don't think about a pink elephant, like you're going to go there. But if you think, oh, I got to drink 4 liters, then probably the byproduct, I would think. You'll have to let us know how it goes, but good on you, man. That's good.
Yeah. So those are 2 kind of acute things that are like, the obvious ones straight off the bat. Others are just the times in my life. So this all came to a real pinnacle on New Year's Eve. We had a little shindig with a couple of friends locally and had a really good time. Tons of great food. I ate so freaking much, like to the point where like I went home and I was just like, wow, I am starting the new year off sick. And I was just so like, I drank soda all night. And I was full and it was just like, oh man. And weighed myself the next morning. I'm like, well, okay, this is the most I've been in quite a long time.
Dang.
So like January 1 to have that is like your welcome to the new year is like, oh, okay, well,
can only go up.
Message received. So I have some, goals, associated with that. I'm gonna, the times in my life where I've worked really hard at both exercising consistently and tracking what I've consuming, I've had a pretty easy time, like losing weight, getting in better shape.
Yeah.
As long as I'm consistent with the tracking element. Like if I'm guessing at it, I can't. But if I track it consistently, I seem to be able to stay in the zone until, some stress pops in. And my biggest problem with these has always been, things get hard at work. I stress eat or whatever. And then I'm like, well, I screwed it up. I ate bad for 2 days. So I might as well start over. And that's not what it is, and like, so I'm trying to shake that kind of perfectionist mentality out of it. Cause that has gotten me in that has pulled me off a really good course several different times.
Mm.
So locking in that stuff, cutting garbage food out of the mix. And then another easy one that I've always had issues with is just eating late. Like my
Yeah.
kids go to bed, my wife goes to bed, and I'm like, I could watch a movie and like just eat some junk. And so cutting off after dinner time, no more food.
Yeah.
And so that's the decluttering of the body. Decluttering of the mind. I'm trying to cut back on just pure volume of media that I intake.
Mm.
Less social, less, less, less. Well, I have nothing to do, so I might as well watch Netflix or whatever. Like, less of that.
Yeah.
I tend to be awake about 2 hours longer than everybody else in my family.
Mm.
And so that's
And
very easy.
you're not like doing math and like thinking about the world's problems. It's like,
Right. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking about my problems and then I'm trying to escape them by just ingesting some mindless nonsense. And so I'm going to try reading more, less overall consumption of just garbage media. Just being more deliberate about how I spend my time in that realm. I mean, because I could read plenty of garbage too, I have no doubt. But like, I'm gonna try and ingest things that are uplifting and productive and beneficial to myself, my family, and then decluttering of the soul. Just making choices that enrich my ability to be a better dad and a better husband, and try and be more patient with my kids. The things I harbor soul guilt about tend to be how I am doing in my relationships with my family, my kids and stuff. So trying to update the way that I respond when the whole house is overstimulated and we're all like, just because they're grumpy doesn't mean I need to be. Just because I had a bad day at work doesn't mean I need to bring it home to them. That kind of stuff. Yeah, making more conscious choices there. And I've made a few sort of like explicit plans, but I'm very intentionally leaving a lot of this open ended this time around, just because I feel like when I put too much quantifiable stuff, I tend to let one bad day again, like just pull the whole thing off the rails.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to avoid that and just let sort of a collective kind of betterment occur.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude. So those are kind of the New Year's goals, the decluttering of mind, body, and soul. A big part of the mind factor is also just decluttering like my actual spaces that I exist in. I work in I have a full-time job. We talked about that last time. The office that I work in, within that office, I have an office. It's full of camera gear and all kinds of other stuff. And so it's very easy to kind of just like, I'll just leave that there and stop. So I went in after I took the entire between Christmas and New Year's week off. And so I went in on the 2nd and just cleaned up my whole desk, started fresh. So trying to reorganize the spaces in which I exist a little bit. I think that will help with mental clarity. So that's part of it, but yeah, man. So there you go. That's the Doug mantra: declutter, whatever that means in whatever capacity. That's where I'm headed for. So
dude,
there you go.
That was the perfect place to start, man. Cause that's very inspiring. You put a lot of thought into that. And I relate in a lot of ways. I relate with the food in some ways. I relate with the garbage TV. It's funny you mentioned fast food at the beginning, and I've actually explained like what I watch lots of times as like fast food, like calories, like TV, fast food TV, right? Like it's just shite, like just like reality TV that's amazing, but it's like terrible. Just lots of YouTube and stuff that's not even stuff that has some redeeming value, like you said, the word sheer quantity. And it's like, how much redeeming value after like the 4th hour of the day, like, I don't know. I've never timed it exactly, but too much, dude, too much.
Yes.
Like for me, like all that input limits the output, right? Like you listen to anybody smart and they're going to talk to you about how they limit just like the stream coming in order to like be able to like crank a task out, you know, and I'm, you know, I relate to what you're saying there. So,
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, you said at the top, and then I want to dive right in, because this actually is like perfect for me. I have a little
Yeah,
mini,
man.
like mental doob that we gotta, I'm going to smoke with you while we're on this like wavelength here. But,
Yeah, man.
you said if you track it, then it's pretty easy to stay on top of it. Do you use any kind of like app or anything, like when you're feeling like you're really on it, or when things are going well in that regard, like with all the food and the exercise and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Is there some kind of like daily, like, you know, like this much water,
Yep.
blah, 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 hit the gym, like something
Yep.
like that?
There's a couple apps there. The one that I've used in the past that has just gotten easier and easier to use is called Lose It.
Okay.
It's like another one that's pretty similar. Is MyFitnessPal is a pretty popular one, but Lose It's like a nutrition tracker. You can super easy. Like if you're eating a bag salad from wherever, you can usually scan the barcode and it will just be like, oh, here it is for, you know, how many cups of it did you eat? Here's the
Yeah.
calories, here's the macros, here's everything. And then you can track all that stuff. You can track your track your water intake. You can do your like. I try not to weigh in every single day. I don't want to become obsessive about that, but you can do a as often as you want. You can update your weight there, so you can kind of watch it
Love it.
as you're making progress. So I use that. There's another one that I'm using for the so cut myself off at night. I think the easiest way to do that is committing to like a kind of an intermittent fasting window.
Love it.
So
I've done it for a long time, actually.
Have you?
Yeah.
So I have an app called Zero that I track that with.
Do you do like 16/8, or do you kind of like, do you always kind of change it up, or what do you do?
So right now I'm starting the year off doing 18/6.
Cool.
I'm just going to try that out for a couple of weeks and see how that kind of feels and how, you know, if that kind of makes sense.
Yep.
So I'm trying to kind of have it be between about like, and I'm giving myself about a 30-minute variance there, but like essentially 12:30 to 6:30, or like 1 to 7, somewhere in that vicinity. And then in the morning, just drink a bunch of water.
1 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
That's your whole eating time?
Yeah.
Dude, that's longer than 18, or, oh yeah.
18
yeah,
off,
dude,
6
that's
on.
aggressive. That's good.
Yeah. So, and so like this week I felt really good. There's always a couple hours in the morning where I'm like, oh man, you know, I could go for something, but I drink a bunch of water, maybe have a few, you know, just a few
beers,
few sips of bubble maybe, but
maybe have a few beers. That's where you're going.
Yeah, maybe this will drive me to actually drinking. I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, all that soda and stuff, I'm totally quitting it.
Yeah,
it's time to start drinking.
Something better.
You need to get on this, dude. Get on this aloe. It's not carbonated. It's tasty. Probably still has as much sugar, but if you're just kind of first fighting the carbonation battle, it's a good little nectar.
No, I'll have to go locate some.
So I didn't mean to cut you off there, but 18/6. The thing I've noticed about intermittent fasting is, I think for me, you talked about the morning hours. I think for me, the harder hours was the nighttime hours.
Oh,
like shutting it down at like 7 p.m. Even 8 is like hard. I'm sitting here, I'm drinking like sugary drinks. It's 9:30 Mountain. I'm not doing it tonight, clearly, but like, if I could if I could get past like TV time and not be snacky, which is tough, you know, because it's just easy to do, and you're kind of like stomach maybe is rumbling a tiny bit from like dinner was a few hours ago.
Right.
If it's 10 o'clock and I'm almost ready to go to bed, stomach's rumbling a little bit, but somehow I can shut it down. By the time I wake up and I get going again the next morning, and it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever, my metabolism is like still asleep. Like it has, because I haven't fed it. So it's like kind of like just remaining in little hibernation phase or whatever. That's what I've noticed. I don't know if that's scientific, but the morning time is so easy for me. I could go till 12 or 1 or 2 easy and barely think about it, especially if something's going on. If nothing's going on, then you know, maybe a little bit, but if there's any kind of thing going on, and then if I go to the gym, I don't do this anymore because I'm corpo now. But when I was like doing my own thing up until a couple weeks ago, I would go to the gym middle of the day, and have that be the last thing that I did before eating, and then I'd come back and do protein and stuff. But those morning hours for me were super easy. It was like that TV time at night. It was like so sad and a little bit like bummer, you know, to like, that was where I
Yeah.
felt it.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same boat. Like, I think the morning has been hard right now because I'm so used to eating at night that I'm feeling it more in the morning than I'm used to. But the night is still definitely the harder time for me to just be like, no. Like, you're eating because you're bored. You don't need sustenance right now. You had a great dinner. You know, like, cause I have to kind of talk myself through the, like, do not walk into the kitchen just because the house is quiet and you're bored, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a funny, like, I don't know. So
Dude.
yeah, man. And I'll tell you, dude, like, just real quickly, you said what set this off. Since last we spoke, I turned 40. So
I think I wished you happy birthday.
You did.
I
But
know I remember seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of it too. Like,
yeah.
And I mean, I've been living in midlife crisis mode for years. So like I was able to kind of like lower myself into 40, like pretty softly, you know, but with the exception of like the health thing, I'm like, dude, okay, like I've officially kind of made it to what statistically is the halfway mark. Right. So
yeah.
I'm past the phase where making the smart habits is easy. And so now I just have to commit or, you know, I'm going to start. Yeah.
Do you go to a gym? Do you like work out at a gym or what do you do like fitness wise?
I have a membership at a gym.
Yeah, cool. Which one?
I would like to utilize it.
Yeah.
It's just a local one here. They have these little warehouse joints all over town.
Cool.
Very, very not Corpo Globo gym in its vibe. It's like good gear at the one by my house and stuff. It has very it's a janky joint, but
yeah,
the stuff
like
is
Rocky
in there
Balboa,
that you need.
like straight like boxing gym.
Yep.
One part's too hot, the other part's like freezing cold.
Yep.
Everything's out, like the equipment's like falling apart and like people.
Yeah, like it's the type of place where you hate using the bathroom because it's so like nasty, and you're like, okay, people come in here to do work. This is not.
Yeah.
This is not
Instagram. Yeah. Perfect, man. Like I was just asking you because I never worked out really. Like high school, kind of a little bit PE. Like we had weight time in the weight room and like actually like lifting weights and resistance training.
Right.
I never really did that. I mean, I kind of would do push-ups and sit-ups and stuff. And I always was a runner. And I've always been kind of skinny, you know, but in March of 24, I, for the first time was like, dude, I think I'm going to lock in and like lift a little bit. Because you hear about all the benefits. You hear about like testosterone. You hear about, oh geez, what's the word? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I need to work out I need to do some lumosity instead of hit the gym. Coordination. Uh-huh. You hear about, I don't know, muscle mass, all this different stuff. So like the stuff though that was really inspiring for me. First of all, I had a friend I have a friend that has lifted weights all the time, you know, since forever, and he's done it in different ways. I mean, he was like back in Chicago, he was in like like bodybuilding competitions, actually, okay. All kinds of stuff. He's always done it pretty healthy, but I had him, and so I was like, yeah, this is more approachable. You got a friend to kind of bring you in, but the recurring like science piece that I just kept hearing about, and I'm going with it. I don't have like statistical like journals and stuff I'm about to quote, but just the idea that muscles are fat burning, calorie consuming things in their own right, and they require energy to even ambiently, like even when you're sleeping or even when you're driving in your car or we're having this conversation, like the muscles that you have in your body require some amount of like constant uptake, right? Sure. So if you actually really want to like burn fat and you really want to like, I don't know, just all these other host of benefits, but like the calorie thing, like you can either like, it's like you can either go foraging for berries like each time you're hungry, or you can grow a bunch of berry bushes in your yard, right? And I think that like positioning piece in my head sort of clicked last year when I was getting ready to do this, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta like, especially you mentioned 40, like I'm 43, and so I think these 10 years are kind of set the pace for the next 25, right? Like they kind of
sure.
they kind of shape or cast the die, I guess, if you want to use another metaphor. But I started thinking about that, and I started thinking, dude, if there's a lot of muscle tissue that I could be losing now, like you lose a little bit all the time, that just doesn't come back,
Yeah.
And so now is a good time. And then just thinking about like, oh yeah, if you can build some muscle, that whatever muscle you can build will ambiently chew away at calories because it has to, it needs it. So that was kind of a little shift for me back in March of last year, is just thinking like, okay, I'm actually going to try to build muscle. I'm going to try to hit the gym, work out hard, not as much like stamina, like long, like 1,000 rep stuff. Like I'm going to go for a little bit more like high intensity,
Right.
like gym bro stuff, which I always was kind of like, I'm not that guy, but and I'm still not, but I think a little bit more about that now, I guess, in light of that idea. And I don't know, it's been fun. I'm not like massively bigger. I am a little stronger, I would say, and I've also been a little inconsistent. The time between Thanksgiving and Christmas was not great. I was out of town for a week. I was moving. I started the new job. Like I had the kids, they were off school for a week. Like,
Right.
So there was a lot of different things that kind of pushed it out. But anyway, I was just curious about like if you go hit a gym, or if you do like something else like classes or sports or running or whatever. But
when I'm actually like doing well and making progress and exercising consistently, the gym's a big part of it. Basketball, I have a few guys I play with at least once a week, that I love, because that's the only way I can do cardio happily, is playing a game like that. Ironically, because like I ran cross country in high school, but I hate going on a run. Like probably because I'm I'm carrying like a freaking 10-year-old on my body that I wasn't then. But so it's just not as easy. There was a time when it was pretty easy. No, those days are gone. So maybe if I lose some of this poundage, I'll like it more. But yeah, dude. So but weights I do enjoy. It feels good to like move heavy stuff. Like there is something kind of just like a, grit your teeth and go for it kind of vibe doing that I do enjoy. And that's the type of like repetitive kind of mindless exercise that I can get behind, that I can enjoy a lot more than running.
Sorry, man. I got to switch my setup here really quick.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Dude, interesting.
I am going to try hockey this year. I think I've always wanted to play in a hockey league. I've never joined one. Played a crap ton of street hockey as a kid, but I've never joined like an actual hockey league. So there's some people around here I know that do it, and I want to go lace up with them and try that out.
Wow.
So
I like it. So I have to, oh shoot, I'm getting a low battery warning here. Shoot. Well, we'll see how far we can go.
You need to jump to your other cam. You can.
What's that?
You need to jump to your other camera.
Let me see here. Maybe. Let me see if I can.
Well, if it gets to that point, just let me know.
Okay. I have to piggyback on what you were saying. I'll do this in a second, but I have to piggyback on what you were saying about the New Year's resolutions, because I had one written down to share it with you here too. But before I do that, commenting on what you said about setting specific resolutions and specific, like I'm going to do this many times, or 2 times a day, or like I'm never doing this, or always this, or like really spelling out like all those things is always for me setting myself up for failure. Yes. And I just don't enjoy it. It's not very inspirational. It's kind of more like taskmaster, like, trip to the woodshed, like, oh, I didn't do my thing today. In 2015, for the first time ever, I just kind of was thinking about it, and I came up with just a theme for the year that I just wanted to go like in on,
Sure.
And the theme for me that year was reckless. And it's funny because anybody that knows me will be like, what? That like conservative, like sidelines, like I'm not that reckless.
Sure.
But that was why I had that theme. I just was like, dude, it's too careful. It's too many like checks and balances, and like asking for permission, and like making sure everybody's okay with it. And, not wanting to like step on somebody's toes or inconvenience somebody or put somebody out, or, triple check and make sure it's fine. Like it's too much of that in my life. And so in
Yes.
2015, I was like, dude, I'm going to like spend some money. I'm going to agree to some stuff that I don't know how to do yet. I'm going to like punch above my weight a little bit and put myself in some uncomfortable situations and like just get stuff on the calendar and like go meet people and force the situation a little bit more and just kind of like be a little more reckless. And so this is when I was at Perch. I think it predated you, but I remember sitting, it was when this company that Doug, if you're listening to this company that Doug and I worked for called the Perch Group, which has evolved many times, and you can do your own research around that. But I remember sitting in this office in American Fork, Utah, and I remember it was like real like call center cubicle, like grimy, just kind of paths worn in the carpet and stuff. It was not sexy.
That does predate me. I remember hearing about that office.
Yeah, you never went though, right?
No, it was gone by the time I started.
Okay, yeah. But I remember thinking a lot about that, and I actually talked, like the guys and I would talk a lot about that. And dude, I signed up for like all these credit cards and did this like travel hacking stuff. I figured out how to rack up all these Sky Miles. I went to Lithuania that year on this like this invite only like business meetup that lasted for a week. I flew to Mexico. I met Robert Kiyosaki like at a mixer. I just walked up to him and like shook his hand and his wife. And I went to Vermont and did like a permaculture design course for 10 days, which was pretty sick. And I've always thought about that experience. And that was very, like that was hot on my heart at that time. And I still really like that. There's been, and I made some friendships. Like I met kind of the gurus at each of these places. Anyway, so it was a powerful year, and it really kind of stemmed from that like theme that I set for myself. Sure. And so I did it the next year. The next year was no more practice shots. Sort of some overlap, but just no more like planning, like no more getting ready, no more like, oh, this one, kind of trying to find ways to distance myself from like the big moment,
Right.
But without belaboring that, like other themes. And I've always just found since that time, I've always found a lot more power in the idea of just a theme. Yeah. It just feels more like inspirational. It's more like ranch dressing of any moment, you can just add it to whatever thing you're doing. Like you can add that theme to it. If you're driving across town in traffic, if you're interacting with somebody that you'd rather not, if you're if you are in the gym, like whatever it is, like you can kind of use a theme to like have broad application in lots of different ways. So my theme for this year is main character moment. Okay. And it's that might trigger some ideas if you're listening to this, or for you, Doug. Like there's some things that come to mind for me. It's kind of just like, remember that like some of the stuff that's seemingly small is like, it's part of your movie, and it can end up being big. Like all the small stuff is big. Sure. And, or at least you're better for approaching it that way. Even if it's taking out the trash, even if it's, saying hi to one more person, or if it's working 10 more minutes on whatever thing, or like getting up early in the morning to kind of crank on the craft. Like I'm the main character in my life. And, as a Christian, there's like some like alarm bells maybe going off or whatever, but I'm the main character for this conversation. And it's up to me to kind of decide how I want it to go, and don't lose sight of that, like main character moment. Drinking like the parts that suck. That's the montage, right? Like that's when you're like Rocky, like out there hitting the meat and like freezing in the Philadelphia like morning, jogging up the steps. That's the crap part. The payoff moment is great. The podium moment when you've like won and you've accomplished something, like, but kind of like, I think that idea feels like a good one for this year. And that's, dude, that's, in the years past, I put it on my phone, sometimes on the bottom, and put it around different places. And I'm not going to forget it. I don't usually like, it's enough for right now to kind of just have decided on that one, landed on that one. And that was really like, that was like New Year's Eve that I hadn't like really sat down and been like, what's it going to be? But I had kind of turned it around a few times, and I didn't really have anything that felt like super jazzed on. And I think it's that. I think that's going to be my little framing piece.
Nice.
Yeah,
man. I'm right there with you. Like I'm late to the party on the whole, just kind of like pick a focus for the year rather than a bunch of checklist propositions that you're just going to depart from by like the middle of January.
The 10th, like you said.
Yeah. Like the whole, so I guess my theme for the year would be declutter, right? More or less, like, and man, I That's a freaking killer concept. Like you're ahead of the game. Did you freeze? Welcome back.
Can you see me?
Yep.
Oh, look how fuzzy I am.
It's all right.
Sorry, guys. It was good while it lasted, but
Yep.
are we going again or no?
Yeah.
It says recording. So yeah, you were saying, sorry for that interruption there, but you were saying my theme is declutter.
Yeah. And so, but I just like that as a concept.
Yeah.
It just seems like it lends itself to more, like you said, like it lends itself to more opportunity and more optimism and more, what's
like
the
a
word?
sneaky good feeling. You're like, how am I going to work it in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll find ways, like if you're intentional about it, like you'll find ways to make it make sense for whatever it is that you're like taking on. Yeah, dude. I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, awesome, dude. I'm excited to hear how it goes for you. Anybody listening to this, like, give it a shot, man. Like, pick yourself a powerful theme. And I don't know. You just tend to not like give yourself the floggings. And for me, anyway, it ended up being inspirational. I mean, I walked up to Robert Kiyosaki and shook his hand at a swanky mixer in Cancun, Mexico, because I had that little thing like reckless in my head. Kind of. There was a lot of other things going on too, and but I just was like, let's send it, dude. Like, why not? Like, let's just this is the year. Like, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
So I've always found it to be inspirational. But dude, I gotta share kind of a mini. This is a tiny little like jam with you, and it's pretty like fluffy, and it's only a minute long, and it's just a show and tell.
Good.
Of now that my camera sucks, dude, I got to show a Christmas gift. Look at these Nikes, dude.
Look at those things.
How clean are these, dude?
I would never wear them.
You wouldn't?
They're like works of art.
I did custom them. Actually, Santa gave them to me. Santa customed them.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, these are Blazers, and you guys, it's a pretty classic shoe you've probably seen, but I haven't had a pair of these ever, and I've always kind of thought they were cool. And yeah, dude, red leather. Worn them a couple times, so they're starting to get a little dirt on the bottom. But dude, when you are single, Santa is a weird thing. Like, I had these in my closet for probably like a month before Christmas, and I was like, dude, I can't, like, it sucks like not being able to wear something that I really want to. Or if it's like something for guitar or whatever, just like having to kind of wait so you can put it under the tree, because no one else is, no one else besides Santa is like getting me stuff.
Sure.
Like, my kids got me like a thing or two each, which was cool. But anyway, I just had to share the. Are you a big sneaker guy? Like, what's your shoe usually?
Oh, I am.
Got some water on the bottom there.
I love sneakers. I am not a. I can't commit to it as like a lifestyle, or I would never. Like, I'd spend us out of house and home on it. So
yeah.
My general shoes are whatever I can find. They're like some Adidas flats that I like, that are pretty just basic bro looking shoes that are comfy for my feet. And if I can, I've probably bought like 4 of this same pair over the last 3 years. Just like they go on clearance somewhere, and I pick up a pair or two, and it's just sort of like, it's like part of the uniform at this point,
Love it.
So
you stay in your lane, man.
Yep.
Yeah. I've always kind of been a sneaker guy. And when I say sneaker a little loosely, lots of like Vans, skateboarder. And I'm looking over, I have a pair of black Vans slip-ons, and another pair of like black checkered lace-ups right next to them. And I have a pair of white Converse, kind of like Converse lows that are slip-ons.
Sure.
But it's always kind of been in that flavor. And then even if it's like I have some Puma Kings, which are like technically like athletic, e shoes, like super old school, but they're sort of sneakerish. Just like these things are, it's not like I got a couple pairs of running shoes and stuff, but I've never really like worn Hoka's or something like that, just like to work. Just not really my style, but yeah, I'm super amped on these, and I just thought I would kind of have a little fun, throw those at you.
Dude. Heck yeah, those things are dope.
Yeah. Did you get anything good for Christmas? Any like standout gift?
Yeah, my kids convinced my wife to get me this. it's like this like dynamic. It's gonna make me laugh because I'm like I'm gonna consume less media, right? But like it's like this backlighting for the TV.
A huge TV.
No, yeah. No, but
Yeah.
like we have a TV in the basement that's it's like I don't know, I think it's like 75 or 80 inches or something. Like it's a big, 4K, watch movies on, experience the thing, right?
Soundbar.
And so there's so they got me these lights that you string along the back of it, and then it like feeds back and changes colors based on what's happening on the screen. And so it kind of like feeds the kind of ambience of the movie into the whole room.
Yeah, totally
super
heard about
fun.
this.
Super
I heard
fun.
about this like a week ago.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like very novel in like big moments of like we were watching Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, the Black Pearl.
Love it.
And
I wish they had 100 of those.
Oh my gosh, it's so great.
They did like kind of start getting a little bit like too much towards the end.
Oh yeah,
I love those movies. I thought they were so cool.
The first one, like they're all kind of fun, I think, but the first one is like top 5 for me. Like
it was like a revelation.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But like when those pirates first show up and like start sacking the town,
yeah,
and
the
it's like
cannonball, like gutting that guy and just
and it's like the scene itself is super dark.
Yeah,
unless like the cannonball shoots and like a fire like explodes, and when those like explosions happen, like the thing turns orange and like it kind of like so it just I don't know it's kind of like an interesting novelty that kind of like adds just a little bit of flair to the moment of whatever it is that you're watching. So
the music was cool.
Yeah,
it was really like
great music.
Yeah, dude, it was drenched in like the color like you're talking about was really cool. Even like when they were on the boats and when they were going to the islands and stuff, those movies were so fun for me.
Incredible. And so then you take that and then just like add this thing to it, and it's like the room just like you're part of it a little more. I don't know. So it's super fun.
That's cool.
I'll have to send you this video I took of. Did you ever see the Star Wars movie Rogue One?
Oh yeah.
You remember the end of that when Darth Vader shows up and starts thrashing those dudes in the hallway?
It's sort of the beginning of episode 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like where like the Star Cruiser's been like tractor beamed in.
Yeah, and like they're so the guys that like have the Death Star plans that are trying to escape with it are trying to leave, and Vader shows up and he starts killing all of them. I took a little video of that with these lights like going haywire as he's like slashing people and stuff, and it is wild. I'll have to send it to you. It paints a picture very well of like what this product is. Super fun. So yeah, super cool gift. My family knows me well. I'm a total movie dork. I love just experiencing that. So yeah, really fun. And just it's just right up my alley. They know me. They know the kind of stuff I'm a sucker for. So
dude, I have to say, we were talking about like the pirates and like kind of like some of the color stuff and the way that they like this, just the cinematography of how they shot that and made it, color correction, whatever in post, but how it ended up looking on screen. Dude, Star Wars, especially in Rogue One, I remember like watching that and being like, dude, Star Wars, like they make a good world kind of like they know how to like set up like dude, Hoth, Tatooine, Endor from the original ones.
Yep.
Bespin, kind of interesting. Dagobah, the swamp, like there was definitely a feel with that, and that was like, that was practical effects, like that was way back. And then, when you mentioned Rogue One, the scene that I really remember from that was that like black volcanic in the beginning when the the chick is like her parents are getting like the Imperial whoever like shows up at her house and they're like hiding away. And her dad goes out to meet him. That scene was like, it was like black lava with this really bright, like lush green grass.
Yes.
Like kind of like wheatgrass, like taller grass or something.
Yeah, because he's a farmer now. Right.
Yeah. But I remember just thinking like, dude, they do such a good job of just putting together these really striking, we saw it again in, oh gosh, like real Star Wars fans right now are going to be like, what an idiot. But it was, I think it was, gosh, what's the one in between The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker?
Oh, I can't.
The like where maybe it was The Rise of Skywalker, but it was the desert. I can't
think of the name of that thing.
Kind of like the like Algeria looking like desert scene where there was like hoodoos and stuff. It was when the stormtroopers all of a sudden were like flying and they're like, they fly now. Do you remember that? That was, and that could have all been CGI. I don't know, but but CGI
sure,
or not,
yeah.
like it was a really cool, like that feel of them just racing through that desert with those like mounds and kind of like hoodoos and a couple goalies and stuff that they came like screaming through.
Yeah.
Anyway, they carry the story because it's just like a fun watch. It's like visually like, there's some
Yeah.
candy in there.
They definitely know how to build a visual world.
Yeah.
Anyway, and though, yeah, I have not. What I cannot remember the name of that episode 8. That is so funny. I
such lackeys.
I had so well. I'm a like when it comes to Star Wars, I'm a very casual fan. Like I love the original 3.
Yeah.
I love Rogue One. Honestly, I think Rogue One is the best Star Wars piece that has come out in my adult lifetime.
Okay.
I guess the other one that would technically qualify, because I think I was maybe 21 or something when it came out, was episode 3, and I think that was pretty solid as far as like the
canon,
the original prequel. That was definitely my favorite of those. I mean, that's pretty solid. But like in terms of like what Star Wars has put out since, since they sort of restarted with like 7, 8, 9 and all these little side hustle movies they've done and stuff and all the series. I mean, there was a little bit of Mandalorian I enjoyed too. The first couple seasons of that were kind of fun, but like Rogue One, I think is a legitimately solid entry in the whole, like in the whole story.
Yeah.
But I love the originals. I'm really Star Wars'd out though. Same with Marvel. Like I'm Marveled out.
Oh, dude, Marvel. I'm so intimidated by Marvel. I stopped after like 5 movies, and there's like 30 something like in the.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Like I've done it twice now actually, and like because I want to talk about pleasant surprises. The first Iron Man, like I was blown away by that.
I loved it.
So good, so good.
Yeah,
and then I like a lot of people hated the first Thor. I was pretty entertained by it. I enjoyed it. But then they had a string of like Thor 2, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. Like they were just like, I was so bored with them. And so I jumped off like right at a time where they had hit a bunch of really good ones. And it took Guardians of the Galaxy for me to come back, because it was like, okay, completely fresh characters, at least to me. Like I'm not super into the comic book thing.
Yeah.
So when I saw the trailer for that, I'm like, oh, that looks freaking weird. Great. It's something fresh.
Yeah.
And so that got me back in. I needed that. I needed Ant-Man. I needed Black Panther. Like I needed these characters that weren't like the Avengers kind of, the originals to kind of like drag me back in. And I enjoyed a bunch of them up until Endgame, and then everything they've done since. Like I haven't even, I can't remember the last time I watched a Marvel movie.
That's gonna be my next 90-day PhD. Is like trying to make it through all the Marvel movies and actually understand them. Like there's like Doctor Strange and like there's still the X-Men like out there like floating around somewhere.
Yeah. The first Doctor Strange is pretty good. Haven't seen the second one. Like it just, there's so much. I'm just so.
Dude. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm worn out. I'm worn out of like the Disney franchises.
Yeah.
So.
Well, dude. Let me share. I got a couple other things here that I could share. I shared the shoes. So yeah, let me share something. Like this is kind of interesting. I'm just interested to get your take on this, because we text, a few times a week, usually anyway. And dude, I was listening to Seneca, Letters from a Stoic.
Okay.
I was doing that audio. I finished that book. I'm on Ego is the Enemy now, and I've actually burned through. I was listening to a ton of that today. I'm down to I have like an hour and 40 something minutes, I think, left on that. Really good. Really like embarrassing too, because I'm like raising my hand on everything and just getting eviscerated through the audio of like the last 40 years of my life. Like the way I live, whatever. But Seneca, prior to getting eviscerated, I was listening to one of his letters. It was like 100 and something, because they kind of, if those of you that aren't familiar, Seneca, this ancient Greek philosopher, writes all these letters to, I guess the guy's name is like Lucilius or something like that. most of the correspondence that's been captured later in this book called Letters from a Stoic is Seneca's writings to this kind of, I think, pupil type guy named Lucilius. Anyway, it gives you like the first several, chronologically 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, whatever. And then it kind of starts like jumping around, and it'll not really jumping around, but it'll skip a bunch. It'll go from like 70 to, 83 or something like that, just because this collection has omitted some. All that to say, it was letter 100 and something. And dude, he talked about something that I have thought about a lot, which is travel and why people do it. And, I've traveled quite a bit, and I've lived some places. I've slow traveled through a few countries, and I spent a year in Central America living in Panama, and a few months in Europe, and did some cross country stuff in Canada, and bounced around the US a fair amount. But Seneca talks about how he like cautions this guy he's writing to about how there's people that travel because they are trying to basically like shortcut them. They're trying to shortcut into a new life. They want to like have a different life.
Sure.
And so rather than like grind out the edges and polish and like smooth themselves down from the inside, they try to shortcut it. It's like the fast food version, maybe. I love travel still, so I'm not poo-pooing it, but I have thought about this, about like, oh, you like it because it allows you to like, with a few hours on a plane, like you can feel like you live a totally different life. And it's not like I'm necessarily trying to escape a bunch of bad things and like go to the good things, or that I'm under any kind of illusion necessarily that when I'm in New York, I'm like, oh, now I'm like a better person, or like life is not consciously anyway, probably on some level that's happening maybe. But I just thought it was really interesting because he talked about like, yeah, I even wrote down like the fast food version of like life change. It's like more immediate. It doesn't require as much like sacrifice, as much like breaking yourself down to then build yourself back up. I don't know, just all these things. And, I think I'll just say this, and then I'm interested to get your thoughts, and then we can move on some other stuff. But I think one of the things, Doug, that I have done a lot in my life is I have this is a vulnerable like thing right here for me to say, but I have tried to matter in life because of places that I have some attachment to. San Diego is a cool place. I'm from there. I'm from Escondido. And Escondido is a cool place too, if you know. But Escondido is a cool place. Oh, I'm getting a text message. Excuse me. And I've hung my hat on that a little bit. I've really liked that label. I spent 2 years on my Mormon mission in North Carolina. I really liked that, and I still do.
Yeah.
But I have, taken a bunch of surf trips to El Salvador and Nicaragua, and lived in Panama for a while, and Costa Rica. I've been around in. It's so funny that just came out. I've been around, but I've been Latin America. Like I have traveled around quite a bit. I've been to South America, just a little bit. I spent a handful of days in Peru and Chile and Brazil, like a week, and Argentina and stuff. So there's all these like cool places that I can kind of like use to make myself seem cool.
Sure.
And I've done that big time. And it's interesting because it's not exactly what Seneca's talking about, but what I find myself doing is I also, there's like a little significance loop that I do, which is that in order to like feel cool about the fact that I, lived in Idaho for a couple years, which is not cool, but it is kind of cool. Like, by the way, Idaho has a lot of different vibes. And I lived maybe in the less cool part. And I've been to some of the other parts that are legit cool. But anyway, for me to like draw significance from living in Idaho for 2 years, then it requires me to talk it up a lot. When I talk to people, I'm like, oh, Idaho's amazing. Like, you haven't been there.
Right.
Like, whether true or not. And usually it's not like I'm telling bold-faced lies, but I'm really putting stock. I have this like investment in, communicating to people around me that all these places are so cool.
Sure.
So that I can feel so great that I have some kind of connection with them. Right.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of a little boyish. And I feel silly about it, but I think that's happened a lot in my life. And I was thinking about that when Seneca was, sharing that letter, and, all the places I've been to are still cool. Like Rexburg, Idaho is cool. It's not for certain things. It's dude, shopping? No. Like the beach? No,
Right.
that's San Diego. Like,
Right.
but it is cool. Like if you are a Mormon kid and you are trying to have fun in ways that don't involve drinking,
Right.
it is maybe one of the funner places you can be when you're 18 years old. It
Yes.
legit is. As long as you're down to like not be too cool and like go run, like have races on top of haystacks and like
Right.
ride dirt bikes and go out and have bonfires and stuff. Like it was amazing.
Was
But
Monkey Rock a thing when you were there?
Monkey Rock, yeah. Beaver
Yeah,
Dick
dude.
Park.
Right.
Amazing name.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Crack, the
Uh-huh.
Dunes, like all these places,
Yeah.
and they're legit cool.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
and New York is cool. I spent 5 months in New York doing door to door sales, and I don't have New York doesn't need me to like be like, let me tell you about New York, right? But I
Right.
do it anyway. Let me tell you about my version of New York. I was in
Right.
Brooklyn. I was in Queens. I was in like the real people's place. Like I do lots
Right.
of stuff like that to try to like make my story mean more.
Main character moment, dude.
I'm kind of setting myself up for it again, maybe in 25, huh?
No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
I mean, there's good and bad versions of it, and I think that one has been kind of negative. I think it's kind of negative. Let me qualify that, and then I was getting ready to let you kind of weigh in, and I will. But like, I think it's been kind of negative in the fact that I have to myself, unfairly to myself, kind of shackled myself to like that responsibility of like making sure everybody knows like how great Utah is. Oh yeah, I was in Salt Lake City, like I was right at the mouth of the canyon. It wasn't like whatever place if I'm having a conversation with somebody and I can tell that they like whatever place, I can like go in on that one and be like, oh yeah, man, Barcelona, like amazing, what a
Yeah.
great city, And Barcelona doesn't need me either, by the way. It's already cool, and people like usually know that.
Rexburg might need you.
Rexburg, yeah. But you know what's weird, dude? It's you say that as a joke, but like I do what I do and I talk these places up because I want to be needed. I want a place that like needs me. When I
Sure.
lived in Petite, Panama, which is this tiny little farming and fishing village, which also is pretty cool. And if people have been there, then they would probably think it was cool. Most people have not been there. And so I'm like the apologist for Petite, Panama.
Sure.
But when I rolled in, I was like, dude, this little town, like I could be something to this little town. And it's just ego, right? Like it's just me being like, oh, New York, I could never be anything to New York. They've already had like funnier people and richer people and dirtier people and like prettier people. And like there's 33 million people or how many people there are that live in New York City.
They've run the gamut already.
Yeah. Like I'm not really going to probably ever be able to like win. And so my ego is like, well, if I can't win, I'm not playing, even though I still do talk up New York and it's still my favorite city. I still love it. But a place like Petite, Panama, it's like, dude, this is a small enough pond. I could be a big fish. Like I could like,
Sure.
And you can, and same with Rexburg. Like some of these places are tiny. But there's a lot of like little mental like calculus, Doug, that like I kind of do subconsciously where I'm like, I want to matter, and I've used places as a way to do that in my life. And it's unfair to me. It's unfair to myself because it like shackles me a little bit. It makes me a little bit less free. And it makes me like not, people are going to like me or they're not. They don't need to like hear how great it is that I lived in Hickory, North Carolina, which is also a great place. But like, it doesn't matter, like I don't, they're going to like me whether I have an attachment to a place that seems cool or whether I don't,
Right.
But I've marched through life expending a lot of energy in that way. And I've also done sort of more directly what Seneca talks about too, where it's like, you do travel just to escape, just to like try on a different life. Like I'm going to go try these shoes on. I'm going to go try this pretty new dress on, or this new jacket or whatever people try on. Like I've done the same thing with travel sometimes as a means of just being like, what would it be? I just want to like try something different. Like I want my life to be different.
Sure.
And I still like that a little bit. And I think that's part of the fun of travel. I don't know that that's always like a wrong way to do it, but I think doing it with that awareness is kind of helpful. And it's like a good thing to recognize like, oh, like, dude, there's so much adventure left in Boulder, Colorado. I haven't touched it. I've been here 4.5 years. I've done a lot, but all of it? No way, man. Like there's so many different ways if you really wanted to incorporate an adventure into your life. And I think to Seneca's point, like above and beyond that, even if I had done everything in Boulder, like I could sit on my couch and there'd be a lot of adventures, like just with my own like thoughts and working on self and examining and like kind of like gathering joy and meaning from like crafting yourself into the person that you want to be
Sure.
versus just looking to whatever external thing it is, which, there's lots of examples, but in this case, he was talking about travel. So anyway,
Right. That's interesting.
That's a pretty hard jam I've been like thinking on a couple of days, and this just last week, I guess.
Yeah, I'm imagining like a you're familiar with like the sort of like the psychology concept of like integrating your shadow.
I don't know if I've heard it phrased like that.
It like just sort of like diving into the sort of like deep recesses of yourself and just coming to grips with the aspects of you that are less less savory or less whatever as a means of knowing yourself so that you can hold that stuff at bay, more or less. Like,
I see what you're saying.
And so I was going to say, like, if you're looking for a great adventure, like, you don't need to get on an airplane. You just need to start integrating the shadow. Like, if you sit with your own thoughts and sit with your own, like, the reality of who you are and figure out how to, hold the parts of you that are not ideal, to a, to a standstill or to a standard even. Anyway, that's tangential to the point that you were trying to make. But I was just, when you were saying, like, you don't even need to leave your couch to find an adventure. Like, no, you do not. You just need to start digging. And it's interesting though, dude. Like, I think I understand where you're coming from in that you don't want to be shackled by, the I'm trying to think of a better word than obsession. I don't think that's what it is, but just like with the need to like see value in everywhere that you've been or everywhere that you sort of like, because like when you go somewhere and have an experience, like it like imprints itself on your heart a little bit, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, I was a missionary in Kentucky. I hold Kentucky dear to my heart as a result,
awesome.
Right? Like, I spent some really hard, weird years there. Like, it's just, but so I think maybe, I think for me, where I would land on that is more akin to, not trying to, convince others of like the majesty of Louisville, Kentucky, but just realizing that like the reason I would go to bat for it is because it means something to me.
Yeah. Speaking of going to bat.
Yeah.
Did you go to the bat factory?
I did. I did.
My sister lived in Louisville for a few years. Her husband was at Fort Knox, and I went out there and hung out with him a couple times. But yeah. There's a more legit side, I guess. Like when I say shackled and all this kind of stuff, like I need to like not worry about mattering to people based on some little trimmings of life, like where I lived. It's like the same as clothes. Like, look how great I am. I drive this car. Look how like you want me in your life, right? Like I have this house. Like I hold this position at work though. Like pretty cool, right? Like it's like trying to matter for the wrong things. And I've there are like travel is it's like a very inconspicuous, like it's not inconspicuous, but I would say it's low down on the list maybe of like deplorable things to try to be, like to try to matter for.
Yes.
But if you look at it, it's kind of the same, dude. It's the same as jewelry. It's all the other stuff that people would try to do. It's pretty similar. So
sure.
I do. Well, I have lived in these places long enough to like to know people there. But dude, I also kind of try to maintain connections with people sometimes more than I would if they were just in Boulder. Because I'm like, oh yeah, these people are from like North Carolina, where it's my heart, dude. I love Western Carolina.
Sure.
And so if I have a few people that are out there, like to me, they're like a little more precious kind of because I'm like, I really want this connection with this place. Like, yes. But then if I peel that back, I'm like, why? Oh, because it's my place. I could matter there. Like, if I like make it really cool, then everybody will think I'm really, so there's some similar things going on that probably other people do with more recognizable, more conspicuous stuff like purchases or possessions or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. Um, so what's the let's get weird here for a second. Let's experiment.
Okay.
What is the, based on your mantra for the year, what's the tie there, and what's the fix?
Good question. Main character moment, I think, is my theme. I think that's like a rally cry for me. The way that, and I might have not explained it very well off the top there, but the way that I plan on like using that is like in the trenches when times are tough, you know. And
Be bold.
yeah, it's like, remember, you're writing a story that's more than the fact that like your ex-wife says bad things about you. I don't actually know that even, so that's not
Sure.
that could be true or it could not be. But whether it is or not, like I'm writing a story that is you know, I'm the main character in this like story that I want to be cool, and I want it to be rewarding in the long term, and there's going to be somebody at work that says a mean thing to me.
Sure.
That's when I need to like draw on main character moment and not just go to pieces and like be so sad or like fly off the handle back at him and be like, well, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. You know, blah, blah, you know, like,
Right.
It's where I need to be in my state of mind, to kind of be a little more stoic, a little more graceful. The part in the end of Casino Royale when James Bond is just getting whipped in the nuts, which I showed my kids this movie a few weeks, probably like a month ago.
Heck
They
yeah.
loved it, by the way.
Yeah,
That part was
how
a
could
little
you not?
interesting, like navigating with them. But I think they like what I like about that scene is I just like how he's like, he just decides that he's just gonna laugh, and it's just gonna, he will not let that thing break him,
Yes.
even though it probably broke him.
Right.
But I think like main character moment, like I don't know if this is exactly answering your question, but I think like that's how I want to that's what I want to think about when it's not like super rosy always.
Yeah.
And then when it is super rosy, I want to like have the presence of mind to kind of step out of that, so just like step back and like really appreciate it,
Yes.
instead of just being like, oh yeah, great, you know, like what's next, blah blah blah, like onto the, like see it for like the panoramic, like majestic thing that it is.
Yes.
Instead of just being like whatever, you know. So
Yeah.
like just a little more awareness that like something bigger is happening than just whatever like crappy thing or whatever, like, oh, that was cool, you know, like it's sort of see it for like the bigger thing that it is. I don't know exactly if that, I don't know quite what you were maybe like thinking about, like in relation to some of the like significance loop I was describing with the places, but
no, I was just curious if there was a just kind of a pathway to sort of resolving the significance loop via your mantra of the year of the main character moment.
Yeah, good question.
So
Yeah. I don't know is the honest answer. I haven't really thought about that too much.
That's acceptable.
Yeah. But you know what? I will say like I have been, I've kind of been unfair to Colorado. I've been here for 4.5 years. You're from here. Like this is it's an interesting thing to talk about to you, because I know that you would give a lot of things to be back here.
I do love it.
We haven't checked in a little while, but I know that that's like burned on your heart for a while. But I've been a little unfair to Colorado, and I think because it's for a few reasons. Like it's there's been some tough seasons, you know, getting divorced, sure. And but I left North Carolina, where I really loved, to come out here. But I think I really love North Carolina because I went on my mission there, you know, and it's like, this is my special place. And like, if I can make it more special, then I'll be more special. Like there's some of that, like certainly some measure, apart from the fact that it is tremendous. Like it's beautiful. There's lots of trees. The people are really cool. The accents are charming and endearing. There's some funny stuff like the moonshine and the bluegrass. And like, there's a cool fabric that exists without me, doesn't need me, and it will be always kind of cool.
Right.
But I think with North Carolina and then with Panama, like I had an earlier exit from Panama than I would have wanted. My wife and I were a little bit in different places with it. Like she didn't speak the language that great, and it was isolating for her. It was not cool necessarily. Like she did it and she enjoyed it for a while, but I would have stayed longer and she was kind of ready. And so I think with Colorado, I think about San Diego. I think about, some of these different places that I've lived where I've really loved it. And I have them all in my head now, in my heart. And I'm like, dude, it's as simple as like, I work online. Like I could just, you rent a new place or you sell your house. Like when we were in Salt Lake, we just sold our house. We got like a little storage unit and we put our furniture in there and then we went to Panama.
Right.
And it's, that's the world we live in now. Like our kids now are in school. They weren't then. And we ended up homeschooling one of them and stuff. But it seems, I did it a handful of times to the point where it seems like it's on the menu. And then Colorado, I had never really like, it wasn't quite as much by like the burning desire of my heart that we ended up here. It was kind of like a default. We were going to go to Southeast Asia. COVID broke out. So we left North Carolina instead of going to Southeast Asia. And we were like, let's go to Colorado because our kids are medical and, we didn't want to like chance it on hospitals and care and whatever else if beds are being given to COVID patients and our kids can't be treated. And Colorado also had this great program that actually has worked out swimmingly for what they have. I'm sharing a lot of context, but Colorado, I haven't really given it its fair due, man. Like I live in a place that is most people's dream. Like most of the people that I live around here are here on purpose. They really wanted to come here because they're from Indiana or because they're from California or they engineered it and they're here. Yeah. Just like when I grew up in San Diego, like a lot of people were there because it was their dream and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. I wear my shorts every day, which it is. And it's great. But I always sort of held this grudge because it wasn't one of my like places that was sort of tied up in my ego,
Sure.
And I'll say looks wise, like Colorado is very like striking and stunning. Like it's very like impressive, but I do kind of like the tree aesthetic of the East Coast. I like being in forests and like lush and, hardwoods and deciduous trees with leaves and like that kind of stuff. So there's a little bit of like, there's some of that. Yes. But I would be a liar if I didn't share that there was like some part of it that was wrapped up in all this like ego stuff from these like, other places that I've sort of like built my significance around too. So, when you ask that question about like this year, like dude, Colorado has been a really good workshop for me. It really has. It's been a graveyard in some ways. Saying goodbye to a relationship, like life changed. I find myself single now in a place. If I was in San Diego, I could get the band back together. Like not everybody is there, but there's I have 2 siblings that are down there. I have all these spots that are familiar to me. Like there's friends from like grade school and high school and even college that are all kind of down there. Like I would have more of a ready-made kind of nexus.
Right.
I don't have that necessarily per se here. The friendships that I did make here in a couple years prior to my wife and I splitting were joint friendships with her. And so now it's like a little bit divided, like who,
who gets who. Yeah, that's complicated. Yeah, absolutely.
But I haven't given Colorado like haven't really given it a fair shake. I haven't really just been like, I'm all in. And I'm doing that now. Like Boulder's my place. I'm here. Sure. And when I move somewhere else, I'll be there. But for right now I'm here and I want to like not try to like not, I don't need to like, it doesn't need to be the greatest ever place, but neither does San Diego. Like it's not like San Diego has plenty of black marks. Central America has plenty of crappy things that are not enjoyable, So I need to just, I think, rein it in and be a little more even keel and not try to just tie up my ego in places, like I'm not a cooler person because I went to Barcelona for 3 months. I'm the person that I am. Like,
right.
I've been thinking about it wrong.
Colorado. Yeah. I will say this, Colorado is incredibly striking. You're right. But to your credit, the East Coast or just the East side of the country, the tree situation here, like that was one of the first things I used as a selling point to my kids so when we moved from Utah to Northern Indiana, it was like we're losing the mountains. That is a hard loss. But there are these enormous, like ancient looking trees that line every road and every place, like, and they are lush and beautiful. And yeah, the forest scene here is just wild.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Super duper cool. And during the fall, it is like epic. So I definitely can appreciate that as a reason you would look east with fondness. But and I think what you're saying, like, America's cool that way. There are so many different places that have like a unique sort of topographical and geographical sort of fingerprint. Like the whole country is not just a forest, or the whole country is not just a desert, like a lot of other places on the planet. Helps that it's a big freaking landmass, so there's a lot of variety. But and I don't think that what you're saying in regards to Colorado has as much to do with the physical prowess of the Rocky Mountains versus the trees, as much as just, like you said, it's been a graveyard in some aspects, and it's been a hard spot in a lot of places. And so the choice to embrace it and be present, bravo.
Yeah.
Because it's tough. And you're not wrong.
It's cool though, man. Like it's there's so many worse places, and I'm lucky to be here. I really am. And it's time to like give that its full thing and not put like a comma, but no. Like, yeah, great. Central America. Awesome. Like Croatia or like whatever other place. Cool. But like, this is the place where I get to live right now. And it's a blessing. And like, I gotta be cooler about that.
So now just enjoy it. And, but don't tie your personal value into it. Right. Cause then you're stuck in the same.
If I start enjoying it right now, Doug, probably in like 2 months, I'll move. Some other life thing will come up and I'll be like, oh, you learned your lesson. Yeah, cool. You want to go to Florida? Great. I'll be like, yes, bring on the shorts.
You want to go down to the hurricanes? Go nuts.
Yeah. Not good.
Yeah. I don't know. I've
my
wife and I have talked about Florida.
Like the New Orleans thing this last week. Crazy,
oh my
dude.
Gosh.
Like,
yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Different type of weather.
Yeah.
My wife and I have talked about Florida as like a retirement potential thing, like years from now, obviously. But I'm like, yeah, that would be awesome. Our kids would come visit, bring the grandkids to Disney World, do the whole thing. And then I'm like, do I want to deal with hurricanes? I don't know if I have that in me.
I love Florida.
So do I. It's great.
I love it. I don't have an answer for you on the hurricanes. It might be like the earthquakes in California where like most of the time it's not that big of a deal.
Sure.
Sometimes it is. I think it's worse than the earthquakes because I think there's more destruction. It's more repeatable. It's a little bit more.
Yeah. It's every single year. Deal. Yeah.
Huh?
It seems like it's every single year.
There's always a hurricane season. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a greater likelihood, like you might not get hit this year, but dude, I like Florida because it's like, it's redneck in some ways and it's also tropical kind of. So you can kind of have your like it's like a mashup of like homesteady, and there's more or lesser like vibes depending if you're up in like the Panhandle or up north. That's for sure like kind of got that reputation anyway of being like rednecky and rural and like more like deep South feel. And if you're down in Miami, it's definitely like got that like tropic heat vibe. But
sure,
I didn't go to Florida until I was I don't know. We had our kids. I'd never gone as a kid or anything. We had my daughter and maybe even our son. It might've been like 2015 or something before the first time I ever went. And it was like July or August, like just middle of the sweat, dude. And it was not comfortable, but I still was like walking around being like, dude, I could get down with this place. I kind of like it. There was gators, and like palm trees and like Spanish moss hanging down. I'm like, this is pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah. There's an appeal for sure.
Times. Yeah. I went back in 2021, I guess, for a little like family reunion on my side of the family. And we went to Orlando and rented one of those like Disney houses that are just like massive. And they're made for like tons of family to come and like kids and whatever.
Right.
And then I went back last January, I went back with a buddy that's from Orlando area. And dude, we just went and fished like city, like retention ponds, like rainwater retention ponds and caught these like 4-pound bass, dude. Hit like all day. No, I shouldn't say all day. That'd be a little bit of a fish story. but a lot of action. There was a
Yeah.
lot of like fish biting, and it was like we didn't even go to like a good spot. We were just like fishing like golf course ponds and like housing. Some of them were illegal, and some of them were like totally legal, just like little
Sure.
ponds next to housing developments.
Yeah.
And I had a great time. There's
Yeah.
bugs. It's humid. That's you always kind of get that. That's the same
Yep.
as Central America, but
Yep.
I don't know. I got kind of a like warm association with Florida.
Sure. Yeah, it's there's definitely an appeal.
Yeah.
Um,
Dude, we're going super long. I feel like it's your turn, man. I've done a lot. Like,
yeah, you're good. I'll
other-
do one
what
more
other
quick
updates, dude?
one. What's that?
oh, just yeah. Go ahead.
Have you ever heard of ChrisDo?
No.
Seemed like somebody that might be up your alley. He's like a designer guy, but he's built this. He's got a huge kind of YouTube presence. He's kind of an interesting marketing mind, and but his background is design originally, and he like helps people figure out how to like price themselves and like see value in what they bring to the point where like they're not just turning in their time for like an hourly wage on their client work, but like they're charging based on value brought to the client.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting way to think about contract work and whatever else.
I'm opening up a tab. I'm going to check them out.
A guy that ChrisDo, D-O is his last name.
Yeah.
The dude that I used to work with at the place I'm at now, he left the company last year. Bill, shout out Bill. He got me turned on to him. And then before he left the company, he, myself, and one other of our coworkers went to Adobe Max, which is like their big kind of yearly conference or whatever. And this dude was there and gave a speech. It was really good. So I got a book of his. It's called Pocket Full of Dough.
Ooh.
It's a really cool book. Like it's designed in a really interesting way. I don't know, like how.
Dude, the cover looks epic.
Like just so this is designed by him, but he also writes this stuff, and it's just thoughts about like life and marketing and how you present yourself and just mindset and all kinds of stuff. But like there was one the one I was going to share, and then I flipped the book away. But like, design is not fast food. Creativity isn't something that can be dropped in a deep fryer and ready in 5 minutes. Your thinking and creative process require time to examine the design brief, consume and process new information. When a client approaches with an impossible deadline, remind them that good design takes time. And if they insist on rushing the process, smile and politely refer them to fiverr.com. Like, so it's just good, like little tidbits of just this type of thing. But here it is. Here's the one I was looking for. You are your number one client. This is the one I was going to bring up.
Interesting.
You are in the business of making other businesses look good, appear more valuable, and communicate more clearly, or whatever like your thing is, right? Apply some of that magic to yourself. Never forget, work hard on your job, but work harder on your personal development. It's the best use of your time with the highest return on investment. As speaker and entrepreneur Jim Rohn says, income rarely exceeds personal development. And as like a New Year's sort of like thing, that I came across that earlier this week, and it was like, you know what? That is... Apply some of that magic to yourself. Never forget, work hard on your job, but harder on personal development. Best use of your time. Yeah. Highest return on investment. So just I don't know.
That's like, a good one.
It's a fun book to flip through just because it looks cool. It's got a cool, just kind of like light kind of daily thoughts and just kind of daily, kind of breathe in the inspo kind of deal. But like, it was just like, yeah, that kind of fits, where I'm trying to take my year, certainly. And I think I any of us that are trying to, figure out ways to get where we're trying to go, personal development.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to embrace, but when it works, it works.
Yeah, dude, that reminds me. I've had a couple books like that in my life, but it looks like I had one that was like that, and I called it a glorified bathroom reader because it was broken into like little tiny, like digestible 1 or 2 page things.
Yep.
But it was still hard hitting. There were still like nuggets in there.
Yeah.
Did you ever read that book Rework? You mentioned design. I know you're a designer. You remember that one, 37 Signals guys, Basecamp guys? Okay.
I'm familiar with it, but I've never read it. Theirs
was a little more meat and potatoes. Like it had a little bit more of like a text element, but it still had a bunch of really cool like graphical kind of layout things that like spiced it up and just made it more fun and digestible. But
Sure.
dude, you are your own client. I like that. Yeah. There's almost like, would you fire yourself? Like, or maybe at the new year, it's like, dude, I'm firing my old self, and now I'm gonna like hire my new self.
Yeah, right.
That cares more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's funny. Like I said up top, like I'm optimistic about the new year. It feels good. Like it feels like I'm entering a flow state.
Yeah.
And I like that. I don't know. Yeah. Pumped up to see what comes of all of it. So
yeah,
it's
I love it. Are you gonna do some kind of project with Philippe? For listeners, this is like a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah, I'd like to. He's we chatted. Seemed like we get along together well, and work together well. So kind of depends on what he's got coming up that would need what I have to bring.
Balls in his court, kind of.
Yeah, if anything, and like and if it's not anything, then so be it, and that's no worries there, no harm done. But yeah, seemed like a cool cat. I'd love to do something with him. But in the meantime, cool. I'm got a couple other, I of course have my 9 to 5, but then I have a couple contract things opening up. I'm got another guy wanting to have me produce a podcast for him, so hopefully I'll use this as rehearsal. And
yeah, man, we gotta next time or one of these times. You're talking about other projects. I'm just thinking about this. We gotta have you like recap some of your like dabblings in the fine arts, the stage, theater, vocals. Like, dude, you got a good voice, man. You're an impressive vocalist.
That's generous.
And anybody that's watching this on the YouTube version can check out some of Doug's other videos. But dude, like your cover videos that you do, and I know you're just having fun, but like you sound good, man. And it's like a fun, I don't know, like the Beetlejuice song you did was super fun. You have some good stuff.
Hey, thank you. That's that's the type of stuff that I do when I can't sleep and I just need to go blow off some steam. I come in here and just goof. And occasionally I'm like, oh yeah, somebody might be entertained by this. I'll put it up there. It's, just see what's what. So
yeah, man, I definitely am.
But you know what? I'll take it. I'll take what I can get.
Yeah.
So,
dude, do we is this where we call it, man? It's almost 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we're at,
so you're coming up on midnight.
Yeah, we're past 90 at this point.
I'd say we like jam this thing like as hard as we can jam it.
We've made it there.
Yeah. If you got this far, contact us for the shirt.
Yep.
We're having a special run made right now. There's both a sleeveless and a regular t-shirt option.
Yep.
They come with creases and tags.
Yes,
they're good. You guys are gonna like them.
Maybe for those people that that make it through multiple of these, like they get the whole pack.
Ooh,
like we just like you get the Hanes 3-pack. Like you've earned the. So I don't know. Like
you get a white t-shirt and you also get a sticker of a white t-shirt.
That's right. Yeah.
No writing, doesn't say anything on it. It's just a sticker of a white t-shirt.
Have you ever backed a Kickstarter and like so there's like compounding gifts based on yeah. So that's this. Like, dude, you make it through 3 episodes, you get the 3-pack. That's you're in the next tier at that point, the next echelon.
Yeah.
So
love it.
All right, dude. Well, great stuff, chat, man. As always.
Thanks for making time.
You're a deep soul, Dan. It's always good.
Thanks, man.
All right, bro.
Appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Be well.
Yep.
Have a good rest of your weekend.
You too.
Okay.